Welcome back to Ben News, where we troll with truth and expose the clowns running this circus. And tonight's circus act is wild. Dems last week, no kings. Dems this week, the king must give us food or we'll starve. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to America, where the same people screaming about tyranny suddenly want daddy government to direct deposit snacks into their fridge. So today, Gavin Newsom, the self-appointed spokesmodel of the Democrat Party, actually said with a straight face that Joe Biden is the greatest president in American history. Yes, the guy who loses fights with teleprompters, stares, and the English language is apparently George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, and Ronald Reagan rolled into one. Meanwhile, while Newsom is polishing Biden's halo, Chuck Schumer is holding millions of Americans hostage over SNAP and EBT, basically saying, nice groceries you got there, shame if something happened to them.
As people are losing their health care and have huge pain and pits in their stomach about what to do about it, where kids are not getting fed, Trump's out of the country, House Republicans are out on vacation, Senate Republicans are out to lunch. And every day the shutdown drags on, the pain is deeper. So it's time for Republicans to get serious about ending the shutdown. So today, Democrats will introduce a bill that would extend the SNAP funding and WIC to make sure no child goes hungry, no family goes without food.
These are the same people that spent the last decade screaming about authoritarianism, fascism, dictators, and no kings. But the second they might not get taxpayer-funded snack money, suddenly they're out here yelling, the king must feed us, the king must give us money. We demand tribute from daddy government or we will surely perish. This isn't a political movement anymore. It's a dependency cult with Wi-Fi. All right, cue the clown music and let's roll the clips.
Reconcile, being more culturally normal, more reform-oriented, talk about service and patriotism, and we'll continue to build on the legacy, I would argue, of our former president, who I think was one of the most successful presidents in the last century. And that.
Whoa, wait a second. Gavin Newsom's calling Joe Biden one of the most successful presidents in American history. Jonathan Karl, ABC fake news guy here. Even he had to lean back and look over him like he was crazy. But it gets better.
That is Joe Biden, and I will defend that till my grave in terms of the CHIPS and Science Act, the infrastructure bill, the work he did on the IRA, the fact that he had a worker-centered industrial policy, and the fact that those are the right policies for this country.
They're all getting undone, right? I mean, everything.
A lot of them, but not, well, many aspects are being celebrated by the Trump administration as his.
So I didn't ask you, you'll notice, whether or not you're running for president, because I know what you're going to say. You're going to say you're concentrating on 2026, all that. So I'm not going to bother with that. But I do want to ask you, do you...
After this interview, I think we've got some... That's not even on the table.
we may have some work to do.
Clearly. Clean it up, Newsom.
Is he not just like the weirdest and most creepy candidate that you've seen, with the odd hand maneuvers and the the little slimy bits that he really brings to the table? But anyone that's running for president that honestly says out loud that Joe Biden, oatmeal brains, the guy that couldn't stand up, is one of the best presidents in American history, I think you really have to rethink your support for this guy. Now, I've got another clip here that's going to give you one of the most based takes on what's happening in America right now.
The left is so funny. Workers who don't work, students who don't study, educators who don't educate, and politicians who cannot lead, so they buy votes instead. But somehow they figured it out. They create dependence and call it compassion. They create victims and call it justice. Create laziness and call it equality. And a bunch of dumb people fall for that. Yesterday, I made a video about how crazy it is that more than 40 million people here in America are relying on food stamps to get their basic groceries. And then as I did more research, I found out that in Brazil, my home country, we have more than 94 million people receiving some sort of benefit from the government. That's almost half of the country. And this scares me, really. Because I know how things work in Brazil, and I know votes are completely bought. These people are going to vote for the ones who keep their checks coming in. And I feel like the same thing is happening now here in America. And now I'm going to say something that is controversial, but shouldn't be. I don't think these people should vote. Honestly, how can you vote freely when you're being bought? Welfare was supposed to be temporary help, but it's become a lifestyle. Worse than that, it's become a political strategy. And that is not compassion. That's control disguised as kindness.
I cannot disagree with this lady. The Democrat Party is leveraging food stamps, leveraging EBT, leveraging SNAP. Think of the children. That's what they're going to say when EBT and SNAP runs out in about 24 hours. And nobody's allowed to go out and buy all their Halloween candy with you, the taxpayers' money. But the people that are voting for themselves to get free things. She brings up a great point. Leave a comment down below. Do you believe people on EBT and SNAP should be allowed to vote? I never really thought about it like that. But why would anyone receiving this free handout ever vote against it? And the Democrat Party may have found the canary in the coal mine. And it looks like the canary is about out of oxygen.
I kind of agree with him. If you, instead of investigating a man who is no longer in office, I would like y'all to find out why the U.S. military is striking vessels without verifying who's in them.
Yeah.
I want the government shutdown to figure out what's going on, because it's getting ready to be the longest one in history. SNAP benefits are about to run out. Soybean farmers in financial crisis, and of course there is the unreleased Epstein files.
Yes.
You always got to go back to the Epstein files. This is The View, where the IQ is usually lower than room temperature on the set there. And Whoopi goes back to Old Faithful. Think of the children. And then the Epstein files. Now, she's talking a little bit about the cartels and the boats being blown out of the water by the Trump administration, but she's well out of her league because these people are not fishing. And then she brings up the soybeans, which is perfectly timed because Donald Trump just signed a multi-year deal with China to buy 25 billion, trillion, bazillion pounds of soybeans. So I'm going to have to say to the clowns here on the set, get back in your car. The circus is over. The show is over, ladies and gentlemen. What you've just seen are prime examples of how the Democrat Party consistently manipulates you. Chuck Schumer, Gavin Newsom, and then they trot out Whoopi. That's it for today. I'd say things can't get dumber, but we all know that's a lie. If you enjoyed watching Democrats embarrass themselves, smash that like button. Give it the thumbs up, and I'll see you on the next one.